Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be going over Tera, which was Europe's first super major of the year. You had a bunch of top talent coming down, and Europe ends up defending the home turf. For the top 16, you're going to have Yoshidora, Leon, Krepsalé, and Takara in 13th. Tarik, Base Mage, Siski, and Sefen in 9th. In 7th, you're going to have Big Chungus and Zomba. 5th, Rathlow and Bloom Forever. 4th place was Light. 3rd place was Spargo. 2nd place was Tweak. And winning the entire thing was the king of Europe himself, Gluttony. So let's kick things off by talking about the Invaders and how they did it. We're going to talk about all the ones that got top 8 later on, but before that, we have Icon, Cosmos, Base Mage, Takara, Jogabu, and Yoshidora. Got to go over all of their runs, starting off with Base Mage, who ends up getting 9th place. Very impressive run from him. Did it solo Jigglypuff as well, which is fairly insane. Was able to pick up wins on players like Takara and Siski, only losing to Spargo, who's arguably the best player in the world, and Bing Chungus, who was on an absolute heat of this tournament. So amazing run from Base Mage. I mean, 9th place at a major event of this caliber is super incredible. You're gonna have Yoshidora and Takara tied for 13th. Now Takara and Yoshidora, it's technically an underperformance for both players, mainly Yoshidora, though Takara only underperforms his seed by 1, I believe, losing to Base Mage and Tarik, which again isn't the end of the world. Tarik is a very good player that I definitely think will be ranked on the top 100 for the Lumi rank. Base Mage as well, same thing. And then Yoshidora ends up dropping a set to Rafflo, another player definitely will be ranked if he continues traveling to events, and Zomba, who is literally top 10 in the world right now, so can't be feeling too bad about that one for Yoshidora. Even though it is an underperformance, it isn't the end of the world. You're gonna have Jogabu and Icon tied for 17th thing, and a lot of the time these losers runs, or rather these Invaders runs, were just kind of ended by some crazy people being sent into the losers bracket. You're gonna have Jogabu getting upset by Super Semi in the winner's side, and then falling to Siski in the loser's side, just kind of a bad draw. Then he ends up getting Siski. You're gonna have Icon falling to Tweak in the winner's side, kind of a bad draw that you get Tweak, and then Tarik in the loser's side. And finally, you're gonna have Cosmos for 25th, losing to Mr. R and Nader U. A nice performance from Cosmos, honestly. I expected him to do way worse at this tournament, just considering that he is switching from pretty much solo ages for the past 2 years to Inkling Corn. I think that's going to be a very long adjustment period, but he's getting results very quickly already, so big ups to Cosmos, because adjusting with different characters at the top level takes a lot of work. You're also going to have Krepsalé with a massive upset over Zomba, arguably the biggest upset of the tournament. Maybe Big Chungus over Lugi is a little bit bigger, but that is a very nice win, especially on an Invader. I kind of already talked about this in previous videos when I'm talking about European tournaments, but it's not often that Invaders come down to Europe. It is very important that if you are playing those players in bracket, you are able to capitalize on them and get those wins, because that's going to be crucial for the ranking season, and Krepsalé was able to do that with his win over Zomba. Got to be feeling incredible about that. Gets 13th place overall, also picks up a win on Nader U in the loser side of bracket. Now, it was under my impression that Krepsalé had completely dropped Wario and was just going all C, but that is not the case. He used Wario to 3-1 Zomba, which again, I've already said it, insane upset right there. Zomba is a top 10 player in the world right now, at least in my opinion, and a player that still managed to get top 8 at this event. We'll talk about that loser run because it is crazy, but huge ups to Krepsalé for sending him to the loser side. And I want to talk about Snake in Europe right now, because this is a character that is extremely popular in every single major region in the world. You look at Canada, you're going to have Grape there. You look at Japan, you're going to have Ike, you're going to have Dio, you're going to have Hurt. You look at the US, you're going to have Apollo Kage, you're going to have Kronos, you're going to have MBD. Even Mexico has Alendis, but Europe is a region that isn't super popular with Snake players. Now, they definitely still exist. I think Kepler's really good. I think Tapsy's really good. And I know that Astrat is very good. Had a 7-set losers run at this tournament, absolutely popped off, was able to get wins on notable players like Trim and Rarkoi for a 25th place, and his losers run was also ended by another losers run that I want to talk about, so let's just get to that. You have Tarik, who ends up beating Slement, Astrat, Icon, and Takara before losing to Rafflo in an extremely winnable Game 5 set. Got reverse 3-0 there, and he did SD on his last stock Game 3, so we honestly have no idea how it could have unfolded. Maybe if Tarik didn't give his stock up at 30 for literally no reason, like he was literally on stage and just upbeat off stage. One of the funniest SDs I've ever seen, but of course leads to a very tragic end to Tarik's tournament runner. Overall, I was just very impressed by Tarik at this run. I've been very impressed by him as of late. He's looking like a super strong player, one of Europe's best right now, and in my opinion, he's definitely going to be someone that will be ranked on the Lumi ranking top 100, so keep your eye on Tarik. Also, my point kind of slipped away from me there, but basically what I was saying is the Snake players in Europe are getting some good results. They are cracked, and keep up the good work. And before we do move on to the top 8, I really quickly want to mention Lugi and Jaka. You're going to have Jaka ends up getting 17th place at this event with Isabel, which is absolutely ludicrous. Picks up wins on players like Ryu Kai and Nero's reverse 3-0s. Nero's, by the way, in Isabel Palutena. I don't know how anyone is supposed to win that matchup, but much less a reverse 3-0 fashion. But Jaka managed to pull it off. And honestly, I would definitely call him the best Isabel player in the world. He was already the best Isabel player in the world, in my opinion. And this event is only going to solidify that. So huge ups in for this performance. You also have Mezcal with a 25th place with Ridley, which is also insane European meta. Literally makes no sense to me, but I really quickly want to mention Lugi because he ends up getting 49th here. It is an underperformance. He was one of the top seeds coming into the event. Ends up losing to Big Chungus in the winner side of bracket and Yusef in the loser side of bracket. Honestly, if I'm Lugi, I wouldn't be too worried about this performance. Yes, he did underperform. It is going to hurt his season, but this is a one-off thing. I highly doubt that this is going to happen again. And also, he's playing Luigi. Sometimes you just get Luigi's bracket. It happens. You're playing a character that's extremely volatile in bracket. Sometimes you're going to get good brackets, and sometimes you're just not. So for Luigi, yes, it is an underperformance, but honestly, I don't think it's the end of the world. So let's talk about the top 8. In 7th place, you're going to have Zomba and Big Chungus. Big Chungus, with this performance, I would probably call him the best Steve in Europe. The other Steve players in Europe, I think, that are notable for that title are going to be Artstiff, who ends up getting 33rd of this event, and Maze Beans, who ends up getting 97th this event. Definitely a bit of an underperformance from him, but Big Chungus pops off super hard with wins on Lugi, Orion, Jaka, Krebs, and Base Mage, getting his first ever top 8 at a major event, so he's got to be very happy about that. He also, I believe, qualified for Rise and Grind, which is a Steve banned event, so kind of unfortunate how that happened. I don't know if they're just going to give the spot to Rafflo instead, if they're going to compensate him in some other way, but regardless, he should be incredibly proud of this run. Absolutely popped off. In my opinion, was definitely the star player of the top 8 that I did not expect to see him in there, so big ups to him for that. Zomba as well, definitely a player that you would expect to see in the top 8, though the fashion that he arrived there maybe a little bit less predictable. He's going to get wins on Kendrick, Olimar, and Skip in the winner side of bracket before getting upset by Krebs Soleil, like we already mentioned, then absolutely popped off in the loser side, beating Ogi, Mezcal, Mr. R, Yoshidora, and Andres FN for a top 8 performance. And Zomba top 8 in this event is honestly no surprise. It's still technically an underperformance from him because I believe he was the 5th or 6th seed at this event, so it's only by 1, not really that big of a deal, but still incredible run from him. I mean, he is a top 10 player in the world at this point. I feel like it's kind of unarguable. I would still have him as the best current player in America right now, but Light and Tweak are definitely starting to fight back. In 5th place, you had 2 Europeans of Rafflo and Bloom Forever. And really quickly, I just want to mention how well Europe did this event. They were able to keep all of the Japanese players out, and that includes a top 10 player like Yoshidora, a top 50 players like Takara and Jogu. And even though there was no Aquila, no Mia, no Shuton, I mean, Europe as a region only had 3 players ranked on the Lumi rank, and one of them bombed out of this event in Lugi. So you had Big Chungus and Rafflo both top 8 in this event, not being top 50 on the Lumi rank, and then Rafflo's run was very impressive as well. Got wins on Addy, Deoxys, Yoshidora, Tarik, and Big Chungus 3-0 over Yoshidora as well. He used pretty much all Palutena in this event, at least from what I saw. Maybe Samus came out a little bit earlier on, but towards the end of the tournament, in the sets that really mattered, Palutena was doing all of the heavy lifting. And Rafflo, now I will throw him into contention for the best Palutena player in the world. So now you got Rafflo from Europe, you got Jagaimo from Japan, you have Chase from America, and you have Chag from Mexico. All 4 regions have a major Palutena threat right now, which is still pretty cool. I mean, Palutena, obviously a very popular character at the top level. Do not believe the propaganda that they are spitting. Bloom Forever as well in 5th place, got wins on Tapsy, Mezcal, Krepshale, Siski, and Zomba. And I was very happy to see him top 8 in this event. He was obviously expected to top 8, but he did have an underperformance at King of Fields, which was his only other major event of the year. So it's really nice that he was able to bounce back from that. And honestly, he probably could have done better. Like, realistically, he probably should have beat Light in the winner side of bracket. They had a Game 5 set in which Bloom Forever threw the absolute hell out of Game 3. He was up like a full stock the second game, or the third game, and he just SD'd it pretty much 0 because he was trying to kill Light with a downer. If he didn't do that, he probably would have won that entire set, maybe would have won the entire tournament, but still, you have him getting a win over Zomba, which was an invader that we did expect, by the way, because Zomba dropped a set to Mar at Smash Factor, as well as that matchup being pretty much unwinnable. But Bloom Forever, he looked very strong in this event. Definitely a player that I still have as a top 20 caliber, top 10 caliber, to be honest. I'm still very impressed by his play whenever I see it. Editing proof block here. Bloom actually threw in game 2 versus Light, not game 3, so just thought I should correct that. In fourth place, you're going to have Light. Third place, Spargo. Now, Light picks up wins on Destiny, Jin, Big Chungus, Bloom Forever, and Ralph. Now, technically, it is an underperformance because he was the third seed, but the last time that Light has top 4 a major event, the last time that Light and Tweak have top 4 a major event was both at Level Up Expo in February. It's been a very long time since we've seen these guys in the deeper part of the top 8 of a major. It's not like the results have been bad. Tweak has plenty of top 8s under his belt. Light still has a 7th place at Gommel, picked up wins at both Shine and MomoCon. So at the regional level, he's been looking very impressive, but it was really nice to just see him in the deeper parts of one of these major events. And Light, still a very strong player, still a top 10 player in the world. I wouldn't say he's the best player in America right now, and he hasn't been for a very long time, but the race between him, Tweak, and Zomba, I think, is very, very close right now, especially with him actually beating Zomba twice at Shine. So curious to see how that's going to play out. And then Spargo ends up getting third, wins on Rarcure, Leon, Base Mage, and Glutine. Now, this is an underperformance from Spargo because he was the first seed of the event, and still overall a very strong performance. Only drops sets to Tweak and Glutine, who are two players that are probably going to be top 10 by the end of the season. But for Spargo, I mean, you're shooting for number 1 when you have that performance at SmashCon, and Akila's performances aren't getting any worse. It doesn't look great. It is unfortunate. It's a good placement, yes, but if he wants to be number 1, he unfortunately just can't have too many more of these. In second place, you're going to have Tweak with wins on Gogesta, Adrian, Icon, Andres FN, Light, and Spargo. And as I already mentioned earlier on in the video, it's been a little bit since we've seen Tweak get a top 4 at one of these major events. Most of the time, Tweak is getting a 7th place or a 9th place. That was kind of his big flaw as a player, as he was very consistent, yes, but he wasn't able to take these runs super deep in the tournament. When he was finally able to do that here, looked absolutely insane. Even though he is definitely unhappy that he wasn't able to close it out like anyone would be. I mean, any single time you get second place at a tournament, it's always going to be bittersweet because you were so close to that grand title winner. But Tweak, he should still be very proud of this run. And going into the next event, I am very high on the Tweak stocks because he just looked insane. Like, technically, he was so impressive, especially versus Light and Spargo. I feel like that's when it came out the most. In the grand finals versus Glutini as well, he just looked like such a strong player. So even though he wasn't able to close it out, I'm still very happy with this run for Tweak, and I think it means a lot of great things for his future. And our big winner is going to be, of course, Glutini, literally the storybook ending. He was able to get wins on Nader U, Mr. R, Rafflo, Bloom Forever, Light, Spargo, and 2 wins on Twig. And Glutini is definitely the best player in Europe. It's not like he ever really lost that title, but domestically, he was struggling a lot in 2022, even at the start of 2023, but he was able to win King of Fields. Now he's able to win this event, defend it from all of the invaders, and just look incredible doing it as well. I mean, the bike tech, we got to talk about it, because the amount of stage control that Glutini gets from the bike is ludicrous. In his grand finals versus Tweak, I think that was literally the best time that it was shown off, because Tweak literally could not use banana properly because Glutini just had the bike down at all times and he was just sitting by it. Every single time that Tweak would try to throw the banana, either Glutini would catch it because he was catching it a lot, or it would just get eaten up by the bike. Just his game plans around everyone were so incredibly strong. He definitely deserved to win this event. I would put him as a top 10 player in the world now because he was so shy of it on the Lumi rank. I think he was like 12 or 11. I think he was 11. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But regardless, with this win, I would definitely move him up into the top 10. And I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The support has been absolutely unreal lately. Now, I know we didn't go over every single run of this event because, frankly, there was a lot of them. So if there's a player that I left out, please just let me know down below, and I'll be sure to tell you how the run was. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Support has been absolutely unreal lately. Thank you guys for everything. Be sure to sub, all that yada yada, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.